Let me tell you something that most men never figure out. When a woman is falling for you, truly, deeply falling, she won't tell you. She won't say it. She won't post about it. She won't even let herself fully think it. Instead, she'll do the opposite. She'll compose herself. She'll act calm. She'll say she's fine. She's just tired. She's not really in the mood to talk. She will work very hard at appearing like she is absolutely not falling for you. And that is exactly where most men lose her, because they're listening to her words, and her words are lying. What doesn't lie is everything else. The way her voice changes when she hears yours, the way she remembers something you said 3 weeks ago that you've already forgotten, the way she goes quiet in a particular kind of way when you're near, not cold, not distant, but carefully, deliberately still, like she's holding something fragile and she doesn't want to drop it. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 specific psychologically grounded signs that a woman is secretly falling for you, even when she's doing everything in her power to hide it. These aren't guesses, they're patterns, emotional patterns that show up consistently in the psychology of female attraction, particularly in women who've learned that feeling deeply can be dangerous. By the end of this video, you will never misread female silence the same way again. You will stop chasing women who aren't interested, and you will stop missing the ones who absolutely are. I'm Lyra. This is Mystique Psychology. Stay with me until the end, because sign number 6 is the one that changes everything, and most men never see it coming. Before we get into the first sign, if this is your first time here at Mystique Psychology, welcome. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Every week, I break down the real psychology of human behavior and attraction, the things no one ever taught you, but that change everything once you understand them. Now, let's get into sign 1. Slow, deliberate. This is intimate, like sharing a secret. The first sign is the one that happens before she even knows she's doing it. Her eyes linger on you, just a beat too long, and then, the moment she realizes you've noticed, she looks away, quickly. Sometimes she'll press her lips together slightly. Sometimes she'll find something very interesting to look at on the floor, and a man who isn't paying attention will read that as shyness, or worse, as disinterest. But here's what's actually happening in that fraction of a second. She got caught feeling something she hasn't decided to feel yet. That involuntary eye contact, the kind that lingers beyond social courtesy, is one of the most honest signals the human body produces. You cannot fake it. You cannot control it. It happens before the conscious mind catches up. Psychology tells us that prolonged eye contact activates the same neural pathways as emotional bonding. When someone looks at you a moment longer than they should, their brain is processing you differently from everyone else in the room. You are not background. You are foreground. You have moved into a category of importance that she may not be ready to acknowledge. The look away is just as revealing as the gaze itself. It's not rejection, it's self-protection. She's recalibrating, trying to look unbothered when she is very much bothered. Watch for the pattern, not the single moment. One prolonged look means nothing. A pattern of eyes that drift toward you and then pull away. That's her heart speaking while her mind tries to stay quiet. And if you catch her eyes moving to your face while you're talking to someone else, if you turn and her gaze snaps somewhere neutral a half second too late, that's not coincidence. That's attention she didn't intend to reveal. The eyes are always the first to betray what the heart already knows. Build slightly, more animated here. This one is about atmosphere. The second sign isn't something she does, it's something she becomes, and it happens the moment you walk into her space. When a woman is developing real feelings for someone, his presence changes the entire emotional texture of her day. She can be mid-conversation with someone else, and when you arrive, something in her recalibrates, her posture adjusts, Her laughter gets a little more genuine, a little more unguarded. The tension that lives permanently in her shoulders, the one she doesn't even notice anymore, softens just slightly. Most men don't catch this because they're not watching for it. They walk in, they look for obvious signals. Is she smiling at me? Is she coming over? Is she making a point of talking to me? And those things matter, but the subtler shift is more honest. Watch what happens to her energy, not just her behavior. Does the room feel different when you're in it? Does she become a slightly brighter version of herself? More engaged, more expressive, quicker to laugh? Does she seem more aware in a way that suggests she's tracking where you are in the room even when she's not looking at you? There's also the opposite signal, and this one confuses a lot of men. Sometimes when a woman has strong feelings, your presence makes her quieter, more careful. Not cold, careful. Like she's measuring every word before she lets it out because she's aware, hyper aware, that you're there and that you might be listening. Both reactions, the brightness and the carefulness, come from the same source, heightened awareness. She is not neutral about you. She cannot be neutral about you. And that inability to be neutral shows up in her energy, whether she intends it to or not. You are not furniture to her. You are not background. You register. And that registration, that subtle, involuntary shift in her presence when you walk in, is one of the quietest and most honest signs that she is already falling. Warm, almost amused, this sign has a tender quality to it. This is the one that, when it happens, you almost don't believe it. She brings up something you said, not last week, not even last month, something you mentioned in passing, casually, in the middle of a conversation about something else entirely, something you have no memory of saying, and she remembers it perfectly, the detail, the context, maybe even how you looked when you said it, and she says it like it's nothing, like she wasn't holding on to that piece of you. Here's the psychology behind this. We do not retain information about people we are indifferent to. The brain is efficient. It filters out what isn't emotionally relevant. When someone matters to us, when our nervous system has flagged them as significant, our memory for them becomes sharper, more detailed, more long-term. We notice things about them. We file things away without meaning to. When a woman remembers that you mentioned your mother's birthday 3 weeks ago and asks about it today, she wasn't keeping notes. She was paying a level of attention to you that she pays to very few people. When she references something small, the name of a band you said you liked, a place you mentioned wanting to visit, a difficulty you expressed and then immediately downplayed, she's revealing how much cognitive space you occupy in her daily life. And cognitive space is emotional space. We think about what we feel about. The woman who is genuinely falling for you does not ask about these things to impress you. She asks because she was curious from the moment you said it. She was curious because everything about you has become interesting to her in a way she can't quite explain to herself. That's not a small thing. That kind of attention is rare, and it does not come from politeness. It comes from a heart that is quietly, carefully keeping track of you. We're almost halfway through, and the next 4 signs get deeper and more revealing. If you're not subscribed to Mystique Psychology yet, hit subscribe right now and drop a comment telling me which of these 3 signs you've experienced. I read every comment. Now, sign 4. This one is where things start to get complicated. Serious, measured. This is the counterintuitive one. Let it breathe. This is the sign that breaks the most men because it looks like the opposite of what it is. When a woman starts to feel something real, something that scares her, she pulls back. She goes quiet. Her replies get shorter. She suddenly becomes very busy. She creates emotional distance between you, and she does it precisely at the moment when her feelings for you are at their most intense. And every instinct a man has in that moment tells him she's losing interest. She's pulling away because she doesn't care anymore. And so he chases harder or he goes cold to protect himself, and either reaction accelerates her withdrawal because neither of them was what she actually needed. Here is what's really happening. When a woman feels herself falling, really falling, in a way that she cannot easily control, her survival instinct activates. Not the physical survival instinct, the emotional one. The part of her that has been hurt before, that remembers what it feels like to give too much too soon and have it end badly. That part says, slow down, create space. Manage this before it manages you. Her withdrawal is not indifference. It is overwhelm. She's not creating distance because you mean nothing. She is creating distance because you mean too much, and she hasn't yet decided whether that is safe. The paradox is precise. The more intensely she feels, the more she may retreat. And the women who have been hurt most deeply are often the ones who pull furthest back, because their self-protection is proportional to how much they have learned it is necessary. What do you do with this sign? You do not chase, you do not pressure, you do not demand an explanation or withdraw your own warmth to punish her for hers. You stay, consistently, calmly, steadily present, not smothering, not insistent, just there, reliable, the same version of yourself she's been responding to from the beginning, because what she is doing in that moment, whether she knows it or not, is testing whether you are safe. Not testing in the calculated sense, testing in the most primal emotional sense. Will he still be here when I'm not at my warmest? Will his energy shift when mine does? Is this a man I can trust with the parts of me I haven't shown anyone? When you stay grounded while she wavers, you answer that question without a word. And that answer is what breaks the cycle of her withdrawal. Not grand gestures, not declarations, just quiet, steady, unshakable consistency. Lighter energy here, almost intimate, smile where natural. The fifth sign is physical, but not in the way you might be thinking. It's not dramatic. It's not obvious. It's a hand that briefly lands on your arm when she laughs at something you said and then lifts off before either of you has really registered it happened. It's the adjustment of your collar or the removal of something from your shoulder, tiny, casual, plausible, that requires her to enter your space. It's the brush of her hand against yours when she passes you something, the slight lean of her shoulder into yours when you're sitting side by side. These are not accidents, but they're built to look like accidents because she hasn't decided she's allowed to touch you yet. She hasn't made the conscious choice to close physical distance. Instead, her body makes the choice for her, and she gives it a cover story: the laugh, the collar, the accidental brush. Psychology calls this the touch barrier. Once someone has crossed it, once there has been genuine voluntary physical contact, the emotional dynamic between two people changes. The nervous system registers touch differently from words. It creates a sense of closeness, of familiarity, that words have to work much harder to achieve. When a woman is drawn to someone but hasn't verbalized it, her body will often move toward him before her words do. She'll close physical distance in ways that she can rationalize as innocent. And that rationalization, that need for a cover story, is itself the sign. A woman who isn't falling for you does not need cover stories for accidental touches. She doesn't touch you and then become slightly more careful, slightly more self-conscious, slightly more aware of the space between you. Watch for the quality of the touch, not just the act. A touch that lingers a half second longer than it needed to. A touch followed by a brief, unguarded moment of eye contact. A touch that she seems to notice even as she's pretending she doesn't. Her body is telling you something, and it is telling you before she is ready to. This is the deep one, more serious tone. This is the sign Lyra teased at the start. This is the sign I mentioned at the beginning, the one most men never see coming. And the reason they miss it is because it doesn't look like anything remarkable. It sounds like conversation, but it is something much more specific. When a woman is falling for you, her questions change. She stops asking the surface questions: what you do, where you went to school, what you did last weekend. She starts asking the questions that sit underneath those things. What made you choose that path? What was it like growing up in that environment? Is there something you've always wanted to do but haven't yet? What do you actually believe about this? What hurt you and what healed it? She is not asking these things to make conversation. She is building a map of who you are. She is trying to understand not just the facts of your life, but the emotional architecture of it. Why you are the way you are, what you carry, what you want, what you fear. This is an act of profound psychological intimacy. Most people operate at the level of facts and surface. We share schedules and opinions and plans. Very few people ask the questions that reach for the interior of another person. And when a woman begins asking those questions, consistently, curiously, with a quality of attention that makes you feel like your answers genuinely matter, she is investing in a way that has nothing to do with politeness. You'll also notice that she volunteers her own interior. She doesn't just ask, she answers. She tells you something real, something she perhaps hasn't said in a while, and she watches to see how you hold it. Not because she's testing you deliberately, because she's decided you might be someone who can be trusted with more of her. This kind of conversation is how women build emotional attachment. They don't fall in love in dramatic moments. They fall in love in honest ones. In the moments when they feel genuinely seen, not performed for, not managed, but seen. When a woman starts asking questions that reach past the surface, she is reaching past the surface. She is trying to find out if you are someone she can fall for safely. And if you answer her honestly, if you don't deflect, don't minimize, don't perform a version of yourself, you will create an emotional intimacy that is far more powerful than any physical attraction alone. Slow down here. Most reflective section. This is the emotional culmination. The seventh sign is the most important one, and it's the subtlest. When a woman begins to feel genuinely safe with someone, when the feelings she's been hiding start to feel less dangerous, she starts letting you see the parts of herself she usually keeps hidden. Not in a dramatic reveal, in small, quiet moments. She lets you see her when she's tired and not performing. She lets a silence sit between you without rushing to fill it. She says something honest and a little vulnerable, and then holds very still to see how you respond. She lets herself be a little less composed, a little less carefully curated in your presence. These are her edges, the parts of her that don't fit neatly into the version of herself she usually presents. The uncertainty, the occasional sharp word, the moment when her emotions move across her face before she's had time to arrange them, the laughter that's too loud, or the opinion that's too direct, or the admission that she's actually struggling with something. When a woman who has been guarded starts showing you her edges, when she trusts you enough to be imperfect in front of you, that is the deepest sign of all, because it means she has made a decision, not consciously perhaps, not with words, but emotionally. She has decided that you might be someone who won't punish her for being real. The women who hide their feelings are not hiding because they feel nothing. They're hiding because they have learned through experience that feeling deeply in front of the wrong person is costly. That openness can be used against you. That vulnerability, shown too soon to the wrong man, becomes a liability. When she starts taking that risk with you, she is telling you something that she cannot yet say in words. She is telling you that you feel different, that something in her has decided, quietly and without ceremony, that you might be worth the risk of being fully known. Don't rush past that moment. Don't fill it with reassurance or analysis. Just be there. Receive what she's offering without flinching. Let her see that her realness doesn't diminish her in your eyes, that it makes her more interesting, more human, more worth knowing. That response, that calm, unhurried, genuine reception of who she actually is what makes a woman stop hiding. Not grand gestures, not declarations, just the experience of being seen without consequence. That's what she's been waiting for. And when she finds it in you, she stops protecting herself from you. She starts letting you in, one quiet, unguarded moment at a time. Slow, warm, direct. This is Lyra's closing statement. Let it land. 7 signs. Let's bring them together. Her eyes linger and then pull away because she got caught feeling. Her entire energy shifts when you enter the room, not dramatically, but undeniably. She remembers things you've already forgotten because her attention to you goes places she hasn't admitted. She pulls back when her feelings intensify, not because you've lost her, but because she's trying to protect herself from how much she might want you. She finds small, plausible reasons to close the physical distance between you. She asks questions that reach past the surface because she's trying to know who you actually are. And finally, she begins to show you her edges, the parts of herself she usually keeps out of reach. None of these signs are loud, none of them spell it out clearly. They are the language of a woman who is falling and trying not to fall, and failing quietly, honestly, beautifully. And the man who can read that language, who can stay calm when she's uncertain, present when she's distant, steady when her feelings make her unpredictable, that man does not have to chase. Because the kind of presence he creates is the kind of safety she's been looking for. You don't earn a guarded woman's heart by demanding it. You earn it by becoming the kind of man she no longer has to hide from. That's the truth behind every sign in this video. And once you understand it, you stop chasing. You stop guessing. You start seeing. Now, I want to hear from you, and I mean that genuinely. Which of these 7 signs have you experienced? Have you ever misread a woman's withdrawal as rejection, only to realize later that it was something else? Have you ever been on the other side of this, where you were the one hiding feelings you weren't ready to name? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone. And the conversations that happen down there are often just as valuable as anything in the video itself. If this video moved something in you, if it shifted even one thing about how you see the women in your life, share it with someone who needs to hear it. That's how this channel grows. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm Lyra. This is Mystique Psychology. Take care of yourselves out there.